Happy Rosh Hashanah and good evening, good morning. We are here with Dr. Foojan Zeine, and in this segment, we are talking about, first of all, hello.
Hello. Nice
Welcome
to
back.
meet you. Rosh Hashanah to all of our Jewish friends. It's nice to be with all of you in this wonderful new year.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Foojan, why people should move on from past and ex in their life?
Why should they move on? Because obviously they decided that that person is going to be an ex. When you haven't moved on, it
Mm-hmm.
appears that you hadn't made that decision, but they had made that decision for you. I always say you're either going to get complete within a relationship or you
Mm-hmm.
get complete with it after it's done. Usually, the person who says goodbye is the one who probably got complete within the time of the relationship. They went through the ups and downs and why it is that they no longer want the relationship. So they kind of said goodbye. And the one who had not reached that point yet, or they were bargaining, to stay, or they were sometimes when we say in la la land in their own fantasy and not really looking at the reality of what's going on. They
Mm-hmm.
get shocked at times, or they hoped it wouldn't happen, so they're still kind of in the stage of bargaining to keep the relationship going while the other person said goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And it destroys them when they stay in something that is no longer there. It's almost like you're living in a fantasy that is just not there and you're not catching on with reality. Usually at this time, people are going into the ideas and the questions of why.
Mm-hmm.
Why me? Why it didn't work? What if I did this, this, this?
Yeah,
And
starting
they,
blaming. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they want to even analyze the person. I've had so many people, Amir, when they sat in the couch in my office, and they're trying to analyze everything about the person. And I'm like, and what's the point of analyzation? Like the
Mm-hmm.
person is telling you they no longer want to be in your life
Mm-hmm.
because obviously the relationship did not work. So let's learn from it and take what we've learned from the relationship and make the best for the next relationship. Or maybe we could learn from the feedback that the other person is giving us, and maybe we could work on ourselves. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe areas of our life that we needed to work on and we didn't realize.
Right.
Or person wasn't the right one for us. And we made it in our fantasy for that person to be the right one, but they really weren't. And they got it. They knew they weren't the right person. And maybe we didn't do anything wrong in our relationship. And maybe whatever we did was the great, that we're going to do it over and over again, but just not with the type of a person who that person was. And we need to find our match and then, do the skills and be the way that we are in the relationship. That's why people need to leave, because their time is being wasted in sitting and looking at a past and bargaining with the past. It's different when you're bargaining in the future or in the present moment, and that should happen in the relationship. That's when we look at it and say, something's not working, we should get help. Maybe we need to get skills here so to make the relationship work. But when
Yes.
the relationship is done and complete, then there's nothing to bargain on. We learn from it and move on, actually.
I really like that part you mentioned. Maybe it's good to looking myself and see, how and what should I change in myself. As you said, maybe it's a good time to for personal change and growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh, so
Another thing that I've
go ahead,
noticed
please.
also, it's many people, this, they say to me, but I love him, but I love her, and it's no
Hmm.
way that I'm going to ever find this kind of love ever again. And usually when we talk, I find out that this is the first time that somebody came to their life and opened that part of them that they never knew before.
Hmm.
It's not that this person is the only person in the world who brought them that love. This
Hmm.
person was the first person in their life that opened that kind of an experience for them. But that doesn't mean that they are the right person for all the other aspects of relationship that they wanted to have. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe we actually do need to look at, hey, thank you. I'm grateful. I'm
Exactly.
grateful that
Mm-hmm.
you came to my life
Mm-hmm.
and brought this type of love that I've never experienced before. You
Mm-hmm.
brought it to my life. Now I know. Now I know how to love in that way. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I can find the person who can give me all the other pieces that I also need. And now
Exactly.
I can offer them this love. I think when they disconnect that this isn't it, they are a symbol of that love. They are not the only person who carries that love. Then maybe they can also disconnect because it's almost like they get hopeless about the future because
Mm-hmm.
they associate loving only with this person. And if I let go, then that means I'll never love again. And then that becomes hopeless about the future, a doomed future, which they don't want to look into. So they get stuck in the past because they can't figure out a better future. So when we shift and look at what are the skills that we need in order to have a good relationship, are the skills we need to choose the right partner with the right skills, and then assess as we are in the relationship whether this relationship is the right one or not, and offer them the best of us and request the best of that person.
Right.
And there's definitely that's available for anybody's future.
And the good things, sometimes both person, they, broke up and they start working on themselves, and then they are coming back, coming back together with the better version.
To the same person, you mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's an availability. Yes, people do go and try out other relationships and they really get that they needed different types of skills, or they got it that they took their partner for granted, or they were
Mm-hmm.
living in a fantasy
Mm-hmm.
and they really didn't see what jewel it was in front of them. And yes, sometimes the relationships come back. But I think that it's a fallacy for us to wait and hold my breath until I turn blue until somebody comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Because we really are disrespecting ourselves at that moment. And it's more like allocate that time to mourn, to grieve, to learn, to work on yourself, to make the best out of who you are. And if the other person also does that and your paths cross again, fantastic. And if it doesn't, you've learned and you can move on to other people who can come in and bring that. I think when you're more committed to creating a great relationship, then it's you don't get attached to the person who brings you that relationship because you really want that type of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the person comes in and brings that, then of course it's a combination that works together. But if you get attached to a person,
Mm-hmm.
no matter whether the relationship is healthy or not for you, then sometimes it becomes very destructive. And sometimes I ask people, I mean, do you want this person regardless of whatever happens and the destruction that happens because you're only dedicated to this particular person no matter what? Or are you dedicated and committed to creating an amazing relationship for
That's
yourself and
very
the other
important.
person?
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. That's very important point. Hopefully, we are going to talk about attachment next time, and other things, because we have questions from people and all our audience. You can send your messages and questions in our chat room. We're gonna talk to our expert. If you have any question with Dr. Foojan, the best way is here, www.foojan.com. So, Dr. Foojan, we mentioned about moving on from our, ex. But let me review my questions. Another part of my question is about moving on with our past, with everything, not just for in relationship. What's the benefit of when we are looking to the front and future and moving on with the past, because past is past. It was good. It was a good or bad, but it was experience, and we learn from our past.
We might have unfinished businesses with the past. There might be areas that we haven't cleared with ourselves, that we haven't forgiven ourselves or other people. Maybe we haven't forgiven our parents or one of our siblings that have hurt us, or the first relationship that we fell in love and they cheated on us or they left us, or a friend who was disloyal to us. And I think all of us have had these experiences. This is just human experience where we've had mishaps with other ones, and sometimes accidental and sometimes intentional. So
Mm,
it's more like going back and looking at these episodes and looking at what did I make it mean for myself and the world, as if like an episode happened, whether it was with my mother, father, siblings, friends, the lover, whomever, and something happened, and then I made a particular perception and a meaning that was a negative about myself, a negative about the situation and other people. And to really look at what is it that I made, make the storyline that I made out of that event. And somehow I took that storyline and made it general, generalized it. And I said, all men are like this, or all women are like this, and all relationships are like this. I'm bad. Nobody loves me. You generalize something, and then you live your life with those type of generalization, which is not fair to you because actually it's not accurate. It's not valid. So I think
mhm,
that's where it's important for us as we go through our past to dismantle all of these type of belief systems or magical thinking concepts that we created and attached it to ourselves and to the world, and free ourselves of that, because we live with a scenario that we made. For example,
mhm,
I might have gotten heartbroken at age 15 because I fell in love with somebody and the puppy love, and they I saw them kissing somebody else, and so from there on it's like everybody who I love is going to leave. Well, then at age 30, at age 40, at age 50, every time I want to do that, my whole system is still reacting, not opening myself up, not loving fully, not trusting people. And it's like I'm living a 35, 40-year old relationship, but the 15-year-old is running the show because she made a decision at that moment that I'm never going to love anybody, I'm never going to trust anybody. So that person, that 15-year-old, is running the show. And I got to get the show out of her hand. And it's like
mhm,
heal her and say, I'm sorry that you went through that. Um, and and then take my life back. And at every moment, go with what is real in front of me versus all of these decisions that I made that were not accurate. Let's say it this way: when you make all these generalized assumptions, they're not accurate. Each
mhm,
scenario has its own way of being and interacting, and so therefore it's important to let go, complete,
mhm,
and heal whatever wounding it was so that I can move on. People don't usually go back and live in their past if it was sweet,
mhm,
unless they don't see any future. A lot of times when people are getting older and they're not thinking that I can create anything else in the future, remember they recite the beautiful past. When
mhm,
I was young, I did this and this. And
mhm,
when
mhm,
I was in this career, I did this and this.
mhm,
That piece is more like those were beautiful, they're gone. I don't think I can recreate them again. So I kind of go live in that scenario in order to make myself happy again. Because if I look at the future, it's almost I'm getting close to death. So there's nothing I can do. Even for that, I think it's beautiful for each person to look at. Every day they're offering something to people, their wisdom. Maybe they're no longer working. Maybe they're no longer, offering their energy and who they are in the area of working, but they can be in the area of relatedness. They can relate and give their wisdom to people in their family system, to their friends. And every day they still are learning and they can share that beautiful wisdom with people. And when you bring it back into, maybe you don't need to look at the, farther farther future, just look at today. But for the audience that we are also younger, um, if they're going to look at the future and say, I've loved once and I'm never going to love again, or, I've had this opportunity and I'm never going to go again, they're going to go right into a depression. So, in order
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they don't get to that depression of a hopelessness and the black cloud of the future, it's important to know who they are, what their strengths are, what is it that they can offer themselves in the world, their uniqueness, like their greatness that showed up with them as a natural essence of who they are. And if they don't know who they are, maybe they can ask their friends and family to let them know who they are for them, their
Mm-hmm.
greatness, the essence of their beauty. Um, Maybe 5 to 10 character and behavior that they have that has helped others. And they will tell you. If you ask your friends and family, tell me what you like about me. What do you think is great about me? Give it to like 5 or 6 of them. They will tell you. I promise you. And then you can write them down and you can put it on the wall that you can wake up to, and you can remind yourself about your greatness and how valuable you are in any type of a relationship. And then write a list for yourself of, what do I offer in a relationship? What are the positive things that I bring in and offer? How do I support others? How do I bring the best out of others? And write them down. And the reason I
Mm-hmm.
say I write them down is because people forget. They keep going into their negative side. I'm like, write it down. Post all the positive things around you, so you keep reminding yourself of you're great. You're offering greatness into the world, and that's what needs to be, and that usually creates your future. Remember, it's like intend in order to get your best
Mm-hmm.
out there for yourself and others. And then you also get the feedback from others about how valuable you are.
Right. Amazing. Dr. Fujan, we have a question from one of our audience from San Diego. Uh, so, uh, I'm crying in the last 3 months. I lost my dog and I don't know what should I do. I need your help. What do you
Dogs
suggest?
are, dogs are our best friends, and they bring such an unconditional love in our life. It's hard. It's so hard. I've always had dogs in my life, and I've, obviously lost them because of their age was gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely grief. Allow yourself to grieve for the beauty of the love that your dog gave to you. I truly suggest that if you are up to it, bring another dog and bring
Mm-hmm.
actually like more of a puppy. They have a
Exactly.
lot of energy and they bring play and love back into your life. And it's not like this dog is going to take the place of the other. Nobody does. Like each one of our dogs have different personality that they
Mm-hmm.
bring us.
Mm-hmm.
But know that you deserve to have that type of an unconditional love in your life, and don't feel guilty to say, "Oh, if I bring another dog into my house, I'm betraying the memory of the other."
I
That's
agree.
not the truth. That's really not the truth. Dogs come into our life to teach us unconditional love and play. Nobody else does, like
Yes.
dogs do. And if that's how you connect, then immediately go get another puppy, bring them. When my dog died, I remember I didn't get a dog until almost like 7 years later. But
Wow.
because my life was good, but I just brought a puppy like a month ago, and
Yeah.
it's just the best joy that came into our life again. So give
It's-
yourself and your grief, honor it, cry for the dog, but then bring another one in immediately.
Okay, amazing. Do you have still two or just you have one?
I have one now. I bought 2 puppies. My God, Amir, wrong decision. After
Second,
1 week,
second one.
yeah, bringing 2 male puppies at the same time, it's from 2 different litter, which they didn't even know each other. It was a wrong decision. I gave the second puppy to one of our colleagues, who's a psychologist, and his kids are the best for that energy of the puppy. And I said that those kids are the same age as the puppy. This puppy is more based on my age. And I said, a little bit, calm. So I'm just in love with this puppy, and it's brought brings joy and laughter and a smile and a warm heart every day. And I think they're the best being in the world.
Amazing. Okay, it's Rosh Hashanah, and this weekend is very, happy weekend for lots of our friends. To end off this segment, what you want to say for this time?
Happy New Year. I think that New Year's for all of us, depending whenever it is for any of us, brings this concept of newness for us, reminding us that we become new consistently. Time becomes new, but we become, like the cells of our body becomes new. Every day we have new experiences, and to cherish them and move forward with them. And these are times that they're a blessing, and reminds us how much friends and family and community matters to all of us, and how much we can share our love and everything that we have with everyone around us in our community. And I think that when you come, to our Jewish friends, community becomes it's definitely a blessing. You could feel the type of community in this group and in this sect. So I think it's the time for joy and
Hmm.
fun and dancing and laughter and loving each other.
Amazing. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and I hope to see you next week. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Stay
Thank
happy.
you. Great
Thank you.
being with you.
Thank you.